Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Matthews, to all the nominees, congratulations. Mr. Matthews, if confirmed, you will be the senior-most lawyer in the Department of Defense, an incredibly important job. When the Secretary of Defense and the Commander-in-Chief want to employ and deploy the Department of Defense, it will come to you to decide whether the requests meet those legal standards. I'm concerned that Secretary Hegseth is looking to chart his own path on legal issues. As I understand it, in March, he brought in his personal lawyer, Timothy Parlatore, to oversee sweeping reforms of the JAG Corps, those thousands of military lawyers in the Department of Defense who meter out how military leaders are, or how military lawyers are trained and the decisions that they make. If confirmed, would you be Timothy Parlatore's boss, or would he be your boss? Can you turn on your mic for us?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Senator, President Trump nominated me to be the Chief Legal Officer of the Department of Defense. I will be the Chief Legal Officer of the Department of Defense and the Principal Staff Assistant to the Secretary on all legal matters. So, I'm not really. So I've been reading newspaper articles about Mr. Parlatore, but I don't know him. I don't think he just became a judge advocate. So I'm not aware of these efforts, but I will be the Chief Legal Officer of the Department of Defense, Senator. I'm not an empty suit. I'm a serious guy, and I will speak up if I have to speak up.
That's what we want. We want the Senate-confirmed official to be the senior lawyer. I hope that Mr. Hegseth's personal lawyer doesn't start to employ sweeping reforms, given what the Secretary has already done with the JAG Corps. In that role, which we want you to serve you will be asked to meter out really big decisions for the Department of Defense. There are times when presidents and secretaries of defense ask for things that violate the Constitution, and you are standing in the breach, making those tough calls, as we discussed in our office. So can you just confirm for me that, and a couple of things, that if you are told that active duty military is being asked to come in to suppress nonviolent protests in violation of posse comitatus, will you determine and advocate that that not be a way the Department of Defense is employed?
Senator, I will advise on the law, and I will tell my clients what the law is.
Well, I think the law is pretty clear about active duty suppressing nonviolent protests in violation of posse comitatus. What about U.S. military holding U.S. citizens indefinitely without charge or access to courts? Will you push back on any attempt to use those unlawful powers?
Senator, you raised a hypothetical scenario, which is extraordinary. I'm not aware of that occurring today, or
I hope it never happens. We hope it never happens. But it's clearly illegal, Senator. Right?
I can't imagine no situation where a U.S. citizen could be held indefinitely without any access to courts or due process. I don't see that, Senator.
Great. I hope you'll push back on that. What about if you're asked to punish military personnel for expressing lawful political views outside of their official duties? Would you advocate for military punishment in that case?
So Senator, the General Counsel of the Department of Defense, if I'm confirmed, we don't punish anybody. I'm a lawyer. I
well,
provide
make
legal
a recommendation.
Advice.
Your recommendation.
And what's the scenario again, Senator?
That a member of the military expresses a lawful political view outside of their official duties.
I think lawful political views in the eye of the beholder, Senator. As you know, members of the Joint Force, the Armed Forces, have truncated First Amendment rights. So if they're making disparaging remarks about members of the Senate or of the Commander-in-Chief, that's an issue that we need to study.
If in their private life they express a view that they might consider voting for a Democrat, is that something you would recommend advocating some sort of reprimand for?
Senator, I don't have anything against Democrats. No, I'm not to be flippant, but no. It's a hypothetical, but I can't imagine a scenario like that, Senator.
Well, we see 4-star generals being fired because of their alleged views, right? We're seeing people removed, JAGs, people I'm assuming you've served with for years, be removed for doing their jobs because they don't comport with the political views of the Secretary of Defense. So it's not a hypothetical to ask whether someone's going to be punished for their political views outside of work.
Senator, I haven't seen any evidence that the JAGs were removed because of their political views. I've not seen that. Okay. Maybe you have access to stuff I haven't seen.
Well, I think can we agree it's highly unusual to remove that many JAGs at one time? Have you ever seen in your career the removal of that many JAGs at one time?
Again, Senator,
Have you ever seen it? You've been there for a long time, serving.
I have not seen it in my career, but I will tell you this, that one of those certificates general resigned before the administration even started. So we're talking about two people, Senator, and the actions taken by the Secretary were lawful to my understanding.
I'm out of time, so I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Slotkin. Senator Pete